What is going on out there, everybody? Episode 3 of the All Around Sports Podcast with your host, Jim McAllister. What a week. What a week. What a week that was. We dropped the first 2 episodes. I'm in awe. I really am. I'm in awe of the response. I'm in awe of the feedback I've gotten from everybody. I can't thank enough, again, Jerry Recco, Pete Hoffman, Nick Grasselli, and everybody that's supporting the show and how we've all kind of evolved this thing into where it started. And now we're a week in and it's just getting better and better and better and better. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I know I say it a lot, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you all. Thank you all for supporting me through all of this venture. Thank you for giving me a chance and listening to, what I have to say and the show I want to provide for everyone. And thank you so much to my family for supporting me, for doing, something that I got to tell you, I love doing it. I love doing it for my family. I love doing it for all of you, my all-around army. And guess what? I got some things in the works I'm trying to do. I want to start doing merchandise, do some t-shirts, hats, hoodies, etc. It's going to take some time, but it's something that I want to really start getting behind and working on. Also, I just want to make a couple of quick, show announcements. One, we are done with Podbean. Podbean, for some reason, wouldn't allow me to upload the show in this way I can do it on YouTube. So therefore, Podbean's done. We're not doing it. I am working on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all that stuff. That's all in the works. It's just going to, again, take some time. But for now, we're just going to be a YouTube show. And I will try to get all that other things coming in the next, days, weeks, and months. Also, if you'd like to advertise with the show, I want to thank my 2 sponsors, Jump Shot Gym and Brazino Home Improvements. They've done a great job for me. And I'm hoping with, the platform that I give that, you guys are all checking them out. But if you'd like to advertise with me, you can check me out at JM14 Productions. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. JM14 Productions at gmail.com. Okay, one more time. JM14 Productions at gmail.com. If you'd like to advertise with the show, just shoot me an email. We can definitely discuss that. And we're going to, just keep moving on and just trying to grow this thing and make it as big as we can possibly make it. And we can't do it without, all of you. I'm working on also like a monetary thing with the show. If you'd like to donate to the show, I'm going to try and get that into the works as well. That's probably going to come in the next weeks and months. But again, I'll announce these things as we start to kind of roll and really start to get going with, the twice a week and getting to a nice routine of how we're going to drop the shows every week. My goal is to drop them, Tuesdays and Fridays. If I can get them done earlier, I'll drop them ahead of time like I've been. And that's something that I'm trying to do. But yeah, the goal is Tuesday and Friday, to kind of recap the weekend and then kind of walk into the weekend and kind of recap some things midweek. We have Nick Grasselli on the show today. We talk about the All-Star game. We're talking about NBA. We're talking about all these different things that are going on. And also at the end of the show, we're going to talk about the Money in the Bank Premium Live event that happened this past Saturday. But I want to take this time to talk about my squad. That's right. The team from Queens, my beloved New York Mets. Whether you love them, whether you hate them, whether you just don't want to listen to how I talk about my team, that's fine. I tell you, they put you through an emotional roller coaster every single time they take the field. I don't even know what to say. Watching the game the other night, you're down a run, and then all of a sudden, they scored 2 and this and that. It's nonstop. But I think they're going to make a run. I do. Maybe it's just blind optimism on my part. I don't know. But I feel like they're like this close to making like that next big run to really cement being in a playoff position. I think they're a player or two away, which I think they can make a move to get there. Not a crazy move, not something that's gonna set them back a couple of years. I do think Marte's on the table now. I think Marte, when he decides, well, I don't want to say when he decides, that's not fair because you can't really know how guys are kind of deal with injuries. But when he does come back and he's as healthy as he's going to be, I don't think he's going to be on the team very much longer. I like the platoon of Tyrone Taylor and J.D. Stewart. I do. I like that. I like that, having that. Now, I don't think platoons work with every team. Or I'm sorry, like with every position. I think there's certain positions you can work it with. Like if you have like 10 or 11 guys that are kind of like your quote unquote regulars, I think that works. Pick whatever, position you want to pick and have like a platoon there. I think that definitely works. But you can't have it in like multiple positions. Like I know San Francisco years ago tried to do like a left-handed lineup and a right-handed lineup, and it worked a little bit, but then they tried it again and it didn't work. So I think there's got to be a good mix to that. So I like where the Mets are right now lineup-wise. I know we talked about it with Pete Hoffman, the evolution of Alvarez and the evolution of, Lindor in the leadoff spot and kind of seeing that whole thing evolve. It's only going to get better from here. I think Lindor should have been an all-star. I also think Luis Severino should have been an all-star. There's nobody in the world that loves Pete Alonso as much as I do. And, I know that, my wife and kids are a big fan of him as well. He's not an all-star. He's not having an all-star year. And the fact that he was made an all-star, I guess on reputation, or maybe they just wanted him to do the home run derby again, which he decided to do, but okay. I would have gone Lindor. I think Lindor deserved it. I think Lindor kind of got squeezed a little bit just because there's some certain teams that needed an all-star. Just so happened that, C.J. Abrams is a shortstop. Washington, I think, only had one all-star. Ellie De La Cruz, tremendous player, great player. I think the Reds maybe had one, maybe two all-stars. So Lindor kind of got squeezed a little bit there. And even Trey Turner, he's only been there half the season. He was hurt for almost 8 weeks. And Lindor had a terrible April. But if you've seen him once he got into that leadoff spot, he has been a different player. Case in point, and I'll make this case right now with him. The game against Pittsburgh, when he hits the 2-run single to put them ahead against Chapman, okay? If that was last year, he swings at the first pitch, pops it up, and we lose the game. The fact that he's now evolved where he's starting to take pitches and he's not trying to swing for the fences all the time, that is huge. That is a tremendous good sign for the season that Lindor is putting together right now. He's hitting doubles. Yeah, he's gonna get his home runs. I'm not saying he's not going to, but what I'm saying is that that's not all he's shooting for. He looks like he's more of a gap hitter now, which he should be. And he's an intelligent baseball player. He knows what to do and when to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, the evolution of Francisco Lindor is going to take this team, hopefully into a playoff run. And once you get in, you've noticed now the last 2 years with this new format, once you get in, it's a crapshoot. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. So we're going to talk about that with Nick. We're going to talk some Phillies. We're going to talk some Yankees. We talked Juan Soto. I kind of was popping through the games, on Sunday, and I was watching a little bit of the Yankee-Red Sox game because, listen, it's Yankees-Red Sox. Who doesn't love Yankees-Red Sox? If I'm a Yankee fan, I'm scared. I'm sorry. Like, I'm scared. Like, they're not a good place, and that team is not, to me, a playoff-ready team where they get put in a 7-game series. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. Judge, listen, people love Aaron Judge. I'm not going to question the guy's character. I think the guy's a character guy. I think he's a all-around good person. Judge is not the guy, man. I'm sorry. Like, he ain't the guy. He ain't that. He's not. Like, you can put up any regular season number you want. You want to hit 62 home runs. You want to bat this. You want to do this. Oh, great. Aaron Judge, blah, blah, blah. Aaron Judge has done nothing in the playoffs. Let's not forget about that. Aaron Judge, anytime he's in a big spot, strikes out. So, is he the guy you want 2-on, 2-out in a playoff game late for your, for an elimination game? You want that guy up? I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I'd rather have Soto. I'd rather have the Ben Rice kid. I'd rather have somebody that I know is going to put, bat on ball, make contact. Judge is not going to do that. He is not a pressure player. I'm sorry, he's not. He's not a pressure player, and they're locked into him for a very long time. Hey, good luck. Seriously, good luck. I don't think you're going to win much with him. You know, again, character guy, great guy. He to me is one of these like regular season heroes. You know, can't do anything in the postseason. And around here, you're remembered for what you did in October than what you are in March, April, May, or June. All right, guys, let's talk about our sponsors here. Jump Shot Gym, one-of-a-kind basketball training facility located in Hillsborough, New Jersey. The beautiful Hillsborough, New Jersey, I might add. 8 hoops and the Dr. Jish shooting machines. Get the reps you need to build a consistent jump shot. Visit jumpshotgym.com. That's right, jumpshotgym.com for info on shooting clinics, camps, and parties. One more time, jumpshotgym.com. Brazina Home Improvements. All right, let's talk about Brazina Home Improvements. Looking for any general contractor or repair need for your home and business? Contact Brazina Home Improvements at 609-581-5848. One more time, 609-581-5848. All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to hear from Nick Grasselli, my co-host. You know how I feel about this man. The Robin to my Batman. The Cape Crusaders, the dynamic duo, whatever you want to call us, that's what we are. We'll catch you on the other side. And all right, guys, we are back here on the All Around, and you see who it is. My co-host, my man, Mr. Philadelphia, the man who knows more sports than you, Nick Grasselli. What is going on, brother?
Yep, what's up, everyone?
Hey, listen, we got to talk about your Phillies for a minute. 3 All-Stars on the infield? 3 of them?
Yep.
Come on, man.
3.
Stop.
I think maybe Turner was a little bit, I mean, he didn't play many games, but now look at him. He had like 2 home runs and 2 home runs the day before.
He's been hot.
Deserves it.
He's been very, very hot. I'm not upset about Turner, and I'm not upset about Bryce Harper. Alec Bohm.
He was really good at the beginning of the season.
Alec Bohm, come on. There's no other better third baseman that can start the All-Star game for the National League than Alec Bohm. Come on.
Maybe Machado. Maybe.
Machado really had a good year.
Yeah. There's not many guys, really.
Austin Riley.
Maybe. He started really rough, though.
Ke'Bryan Hayes. I've been watching a lot of Ke'Bryan Hayes lately just because the Mets have been playing the Pirates. There's 2 things I got to say about the Pirates right now, okay? Paul Skeens is the truth. He is as advertised, brother. Like, I watched him against the Mets. Yeah, like, they got a couple of hits off this guy, but holy moly, this dude's got some serious stuff.
They're good. Yeah. They have a good top 3. If you play in the playoffs, wild card round, they're going to.
I know Jared Jones just got hurt. I don't know if they put him on the IL, but he's not playing. He's not pitching against the Mets.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I don't watch.
Yeah, well, again, I've been watching a lot. Listen, I've been watching a lot of the Pirates. I mean, I can't help myself, but I mean, no, dude, they got like Skeens is the truth. For real,
Yeah.
he is.
I really don't want to face him.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to be anywhere near that kid. And I hope he does make the All-Star team. To be honest with you, I really do, because you know what? He's the kind of guy that needs to get put on a national stage. A national stage, because he needs that kind of exposure so the whole world can kind of see how good this dude really is.
Yeah, I saw on ESPN they said that he should start, and like a lot of more people would watch it if he starts. It'd bring way more viewership, and because he's so good, everyone would want to watch him in All-Star.
I'm not against him starting the All-Star game,
And
you know what? Like, he's got the numbers to do it too. I think he's got a crazy a 2 ERA somewhere in that area. He's got a ton of strikeouts. He wins and losses don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
But he's been outstanding. He's been outstanding. He's that good. But dude, come on, like we gotta figure this out. Let's talk about the All-Star game for a minute. Now, a lot of people really kind of don't really like the All-Star game too much. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love it. I've always loved it. Even when I was a kid, I loved watching the All-Star game. It's really the only one I'll actually sit down and watch from beginning to end, because you can't fake baseball. Like, you can't really half play baseball. Like, you can't just throw a 50-mile-an-hour pitch. You can't just half swing at something. Like, you got to actually play the game. And I think out of the All-Star games, it's probably the most competitive. But
I understand like from like a team standpoint and like a managerial standpoint, you want to kind of try to get everybody in, but that's really not the case. And I'm gonna say this too. I loved when they had the whole thing of, you know, the winner of the game gets game 7 of the World Series. I really liked that.
Yeah, that was a good idea, but because it's something to play for, because there's nothing
It
to play
made
for much anymore.
it made the game legitimate, but I also kind of see the point of, hey, best record,
Yeah,
give it to the person. Listen, that kind of
makes
goes without
sense.
saying. But
Yeah,
if you're going to make it a gimmick, which they were trying to do, it made sense. But going back to like the actual All Star game, besides obviously Harper's not going to play, Bohm's in, Turner's in. That's what we know so far. Do you think any other Phillies get it?
pitching. I think Shores gets it, Wheeler gets it, and that might be it. I think Strom and Sanchez makes a case, but Strom's a reliever, and usually they don't make it. Only like closers usually make it. And Suarez, I think he just doesn't have enough recognition around the league, and they're gonna put other guys in, that are more known, and their stats are all right, and they're gonna put him. And don't every team don't need like one player from each team?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes. I was going to get
it's
there.
gonna be limited. Yeah,
That kind of throws the whole dynamic off too because you have to have one representative from each team. Now, I think the Mets can go a few ways. Now, I don't think they're getting any more than maybe one definite, obviously, but I don't think they're getting any more than that. If they get two, that's a little bit of a stretch. But if I was going to pick a guy, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Francisco Lindor is an all-star. He's
oh
been
yeah, yeah.
since they put him in a leadoff spot, which I want to say was probably somewhere in May. He's been unbelievable. Now, granted, the guy's always been a tremendous defensive shortstop. He's been not only as good, but maybe better than people think. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a shortstop he really truly is. Unless you see him day to day, like all Met fans kind of see, like you're experiencing Trey Turner day to day now. And I'm sure you probably have an appreciation for him now than you ever did before because he's on your team. That's the way I feel about Lindor. He is a great shortstop. He makes every routine play. He does like he just seems to know where he needs to be, and he does these little things too to try and trick runners into maybe hesitating or maybe not getting that quick first step. And all these little kind of nuanced things that he does that kind of gets lost in watching the game really makes him and propels him to be a tremendous defensive player. And offensively, he's always been a slow starter. We get that, but there was a point in the season where he was hitting, I want to say like in like the 130s. For him to be at 250 right now and have the power and the speed and everything that kind of comes with that. He's an all-star. He is an all-star.
Yeah, I remember his batting average was really low.
He
Like the
was
first couple
terrible.
weeks, it was
In the
terrible.
beginning of the season, he was really bad. And listen, he's been doing that now for since he's been a Met. And listen, I can't speak for when he was in Cleveland because I didn't really watch him day to day. But since he's been a Met, there's two things that Lindor you kind of get accustomed to: quick at bats, which he's starting to kind of now take some pitches, and he is a notorious slow starter. So maybe him going to the leadoff spot changes things. I mean, it has so right now, and I think now the dynamic of how the lineup is projected now, Nimmo being in the second spot, Martinez hitting third. You have Alonso as that prototypical power cleanup hitter, and then you kind of have a revolving door 5 through 9, and it kind of it kind of like varies on like matchups and things like that. I'd like to see Vientos be number 5 and kind of hit behind Alonso the rest of the season because I think that would help Alonso tremendously. And Vientos is the kind of guy that once he gets super hot, he's really, 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 really hard to get out. Him and Alvarez, I think, should be 5-6. But hey, I'm not mad.
Yeah, I mean their lineup. I think it's a pretty good lineup for like the top. It's top heavy because once you get in the lower guys, you switch them out every day. But
McNeil's been terrible. And if it was me, he wouldn't play very much. I think McNeil should be on the bench. I think Iglesias should be the second baseman. And I also think that Bader and obviously you have Iglesias now. I would think they're like kind of your 8, 9 hitters, and then just kind of piece it together from there for whatever you're going to do with the lineup. If in perfect world, this is what I would do. I would hit, and you got to throw Marte in the equation too, because obviously he's still kind of lingering, even though he's been hurt. So you're going to more or less kind of use that last like 7 spot as more or less a platoon. You're going to see the DJ Stewarts. You're going to see the Tyrone Taylors, especially on the matchups. But Ndor 1, Nimmo 2, you hit JD 3, Alonso 4, Vientos 5, Alvarez 6. Play your little platoon at 7, then go. I would go Bader 8 because it gives you a little more power, and then Iglesias 9 because he kind of turns the lineup over. He does a lot of those things that 9 hitters do. He's a very good contact hitter. He runs everything out. He runs everything hard. And if you need to get a bunt down, I think he's the kind of guy to do it.
Yeah, they definitely can shape out their lineup really good if they just play the guys that deserve it. Like Jeff Mamino doesn't deserve it, and Marte's always hurt. But
If I could move Marte right now, I would, because you're going to have to open up a spot, which brings me to my next point. Juan Soto. There's the kind of like elephant in the room, especially with Met fans, is Juan Soto. I'm in the camp of, if you get him, great, but it better not be the only move you do. So regardless of what that price tag is going to be, you have the money. Do something else besides sign Juan Soto and say, hey, guys, we gave you this. It doesn't work.
you got Pete Alonso free agent this year, right?
Yes, he is. So,
Gotta
and I
re-sign
think
him.
that's really weighing on him too.
Yeah.
Now, I know, Nick, you don't really watch a lot of Met games like I do. You know, you only see them when they're playing the Phillies, which, I respect, because, you know what, I'm the same way when it comes to the Phillies. Alonso's been struggling. And I think it's the pressure of trying to get the big contract. I think if you were to ever sign a contract, whatever that contract is, and he was going to know where his future is going to be, you see a different guy. It is, you can tell it is just, it's weighing on him to the point where, like, he's making bad decisions. He's swinging at bad pitches. And I think he's trying to do too much.
Yeah, he probably just, wants to get those hits and home runs to really get his, contract up in free agency. But sometimes when players do that, it just hurts them more. And,
I agree.
Yeah, his money's just probably going down.
I agree. And I think the Aaron Judge thing is the big, like, kind of like case study. Because Judge didn't sign a contract in the beginning of the year and he hit 62 home runs. So that, gave him, I think it added probably an extra $100 to $120 million in his contract. But that's you got to take it case by case. Yeah, he bet on himself and he won. Great. But if I'm Alonso, I'm not saying you go take a team-friendly deal. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is take the deal is going to benefit you the most. And if that means taking maybe a little bit less money to stay in New York because that's where you're happy, then do it. But I'm not going to count other people's money. Like, you know what? I'm not in the position where I can, kind of pick and choose my destiny about how much money I'm going to make. But in your case, Nick, like if you were ever getting in that position or my kids or whoever, you will get whatever you want to get. You know what I mean? Like like you get, like, I know we're kind of going off subject here, but like football players, okay? Football players, in my opinion, you get every dime you possibly can because of how dangerous that sport is, and you never know when your career is going to end. So I don't begrudge guys for holding out. I don't begrudge guys for wanting more money. And I don't begrudge guys for, doing whatever it is they need to do to get that money. Because you know what? The owners, they'll cut you in a second if you're not producing. So where's all that guaranteed money going anyway?
Yeah, football, you see a lot of people hold out. I think, T. Higgins was one. I don't know if he went back or not, but he's
I don't
one.
think he has yet.
Yeah. CD Lamb, another one. He wants a contract. He hasn't even reported. He might request a trade. I saw
Your boy
that.
Hassan Reddick, he hasn't done anything with the Jets yet. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many players that hold out in the NFL, and baseball, haven't seen it as much, but they want money too. But just however their play goes, how they play, contract.
At the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your family. And if that means, you know what, I decided I want to take, whatever the money is, maybe a little bit less to stay where I'm comfortable, God bless you. But if you're one of these guys, which I think Soto is one of these guys, he's going for every last dollar, and that's fine. He's earned the right to do that. So therefore, you go out and get whatever contract you feel is right for you. Wherever that is, wherever you want to play, hey, good for you. Again, I'm not begrudging you. I'm not counting your money. You do what's best for you and your family.
Soto, I think it's going to be an East Coast team. Some East Coast team's going to offer him a lot of money, and they're going to try to sign him. It could be the Yankees.
You think your team offers him a contract?
I think the Phillies offer him contract. Will it be a lot? I don't know. Will it be enough? No, I don't know. But it's worth the offer, He might not take it, but at least you show the effort to try to sign a guy that's good. But, he'll probably go to a team that offers him more Whether it could be the Mets, Yankees, or a surprise team. Don't know.
One thing about the Phillies that I've noticed, over the years, especially in the last, I would say 3 to 4 years, they're not afraid to spend money, and they're not afraid to go out and get the person that they want when they want them. Look, a case in point is Bryce Harper. They played the game correctly, and they got Harper on a. You think about it now, like how long has Harper been in this contract for, Nick?
I think this is his 5th year. Pretty sure 5th year.
Okay, so he's 5 years into like a 13-year contract. At the time, was outrageous. You know what I mean? Oh, how are you spending this kind of money on this person? And you look at it now, it's a steal. Like you stole him. Yeah, you stole him. You stole him for that kind of money, and he's locked into it for the rest of basically his rest of his career.
Yeah, I actually think at the beginning of the season that he wanted a contract extension, or they were like negotiating one, because he's worth more than what he's getting. He's getting what, 13 years? He signed for $300 million something.
Yeah, the Ohtani contract changed the whole landscape.
Yeah, that ruined it.
I agree. I totally agree, especially how they constructed the contract too. That ruined it all. I mean, you can't structure a contract, in my opinion, the way the Dodgers did, and find that to be like not circumventing the system. How are you going to pay a guy like Shohei Ohtani, who's worth the amount of money they paid him, like up front? I get that, but on the books, it's $2 million a year. Come on, man.
It's awful. Players are going to look at that always, and ruin the sport. I think. How
many players you think now are going to defer that much money to when their career is over?
There's going to be a lot of players. I think.
You think so?
If you think about it, if they make a logical decision, it helps them way more in their future. Then they could play a sport and say their contracts, whatever, and they play 5 more years out of 10 years. They're going to get money for the next 15 years, 20 years.
I get it. No, you're right. You're right in what you're saying, because you know what? You're having that consistent flow of money basically through your whole kind of adult working life. I get that part of it. And you really technically don't have to do anything ever again besides just kind of live off the interest. So I understand that part of it. But there's also something to be said of getting everything up front and then being wise with what you're doing. But maybe, you know what, you've realized that you're not, and you need that consistent flow of, cash or whatever in order to live the lifestyle you want to live. And I respect that too. So, I'm always trying to see kind of both sides of the deal. I do think that the Mets make a huge offer to Soto, whether he signs it or not. I'm still kind of like 50-50.
You think he's going to get like over 600?
I do. I do think he's going to get. I was thinking about this the other day, and I kind of was listening to the radio, and somebody brought this up on the radio, which I thought was a really interesting point. Soto's what, 25 years old?
Yeah, something around there. 24, 25, 26. I don't know.
Realistically, Nick, if you do the math and you kind of put the numbers together, you could offer him like a 15-year contract worth $1 billion. You know what I mean? Yeah, like you can legit and honestly, that is like a legitimate contract to you know what I mean? And think about that. $1 billion for a baseball player. Like I never thought I would see, like 100 million was like, oh my gosh, $100 million. I remember years ago, Mike Piazza signed a 7-year deal for $91 million. Okay. And at the time it was like, wow, you're paying this guy so much money. And now you're talking 25 years later, Soto might sign for $1 billion. Come on, man.
The interesting part about that is 15 years, billion. It's the structure of it, Is it backloaded, front loaded? Because is he going to want more money in the future? So he could be year 6, 7 in and want more money. Then, is it a logical decision for him to actually do that? You know what I mean?
I do. I understand your point. Mm-hmm. And that kind of is where the opt-outs come in. Okay. The opt-outs to me, like you're going to see like an opt-out at like the 6th year, like the 7th year. We're like, okay, well now I'm 30 or 31. I'm going to go try and cash in again. Alex Rodriguez.
That makes sense. Opts out. If there's opts-out in it, then it makes sense.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Speaking of contracts, your Sixers gave out another contract. Caleb Martin. That was a nice little sneaky move by the Sixers.
I think it was 4 years, $32 million. And I think there's a player option 4th year. pretty good, not a bad contract. You cut Paul Reed, so he kind of, you know, Caleb Martin's contract went right into Paul Reed's like salary where it should have been, you know. So no Paul Reed, but you get Caleb Martin, who's probably going to start at small forward, power forward, wherever they put Paul George at. So it was a pretty good move by them. You know, we'll see how he plays. He's a really good playoff performer. But yeah,
You're talking Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Caleb Martin, Joel Embiid, and who's the fifth guy?
I think it's going to be Oubre.
Okay.
Oubre plays 2, and then Martin, George 3, 4, and then Embiid 5.
Boy, you got some length. You got some length on that front line now. You do. Like, you got some length.
Yeah.
And you know what? I always liked Caleb Martin with Miami because he was just one of those guys that would hit those like dagger threes out of nowhere. Like how Gabe Vincent was on the on the run they had a couple of years ago. He was one of those dudes that like anytime you saw this guy with like less than a couple seconds on the shot clock and you saw, oh my, this guy went in.
He hits any shot.
It's like Derek White. Derek White was like that this year for the Celtics. Like this dude just played out of his mind. This, you know what I mean? This whole run.
Really good.
Yeah, I mean, but
those
like,
players are so important to those teams. You know, those role players, they can just play. You know, they're aggressive. They're not afraid to do whatever for them to win.
that's why when Denver won it 2 years ago, Aaron Gordon was such a big factor. And I'm not saying Aaron Gordon's like a quote unquote role player, but he was kind of like the third option, you know, behind Jokic and Murray. But he would give you those, you know, effort points and those rebounds and things that don't show up in the box score. Like a Contavious Caldwell Pope was like that for
I
that
was
team
just gonna
that year
say,
too.
yep.
Yeah, so he was another guy. But like for this year's, you know, the championship version of the Celtics, it was Derek White. It was Drew Holiday with his defense. It wasn't necessarily Tatum and Brown the whole time. Al Horford, you know, like those guys were the ones that really, when they needed a bucket and the defense would collapse on the Tatums or the Browns, they're just standing there waiting. And you know what? They made shots, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are wing defenders, can defend and shoot. You know, it's always like the same type of guys. You know, they're not afraid. They shoot the ball. They defend anyone. You know, and that's what I think Caleb Martin is. You know, against the Bucks, I think a year ago, last year, he hit a 3 over Giannis in Game 7. I'm pretty sure.
I remember that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, these guys aren't afraid. You know,
no,
get rebounds.
They're not afraid.
Yeah, they're not.
Those kind of guys. Those are the guys that win you games, win you series, and eventually win you championships. Those are the types of guys.
Exactly.
I want to talk to you about something too that kind of crossed my mind. You know, I got an alert on my phone and it kind of made me start thinking. I want to get your thoughts and opinions on this. Team USA basketball. Okay. I think since we started sending professionals years ago with the Dream Team, and then we were killing everybody for like 20 years. Okay. Then the world started to catch up. Right. And then there was like a catch up period where we needed to catch up to them. And then we came back with whatever. Now, 2024, this might be the greatest international basketball tournament there ever was. And I mean that. I really do, because I think we're the underdog. I really do. I don't like the way this team is put together.
It's a weird team.
I don't like it. Like, where's the youth? You know, like why do we have LeBron, Steph Curry, KD, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, like all these different guys? Like, what are we doing? I mean, like, what? These are the best 12, 13, 14 guys we can send?
Yeah, I think the only younger guy I saw was Anthony Edwards. I think he was there.
He's the
Otherwise,
Halliburton. I think Halliburton's on the team too, right?
Yeah, I saw him.
But like, what are we? They're not going to play. Those guys are going to play over LeBron, Steph Curry. Like, this is an NBA 2K, dude. Like what? Like, this is a real basketball game.
I want to see them against France.
They're going to get killed. Yeah, that French team is good.
Yeah,
You know, like the Canada. Canada's another team that's good.
Oh yeah, Canada's really good.
Yeah, they have all NBA players. Greece, you know what I mean, with Giannis and his brothers. Yeah, Germany. I think Slovenia is out. I think Luka's team got knocked out. The last time I checked.
Yeah, they lost to Giannis, I think.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure if I don't think Jokic is playing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know if he is or isn't. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really have no idea.
he probably doesn't
Like,
care anyways.
no, you don't care. But what what are we doing? Like what are we thinking? Like we don't have other guys besides the same old hat that like we're gonna send out there. Like this isn't like if this was 2016, yeah, send those guys. That's great. They're
That
all
team would be.
they'd win every game by 35 points. But
Yep.
it's 2024. Like what 40-year-old LeBron, 30-something-year-old Kevin Durant, 30, I think 35-year-old Steph Curry. Kawhi Leonard's an injury waiting to happen. Joel Embiid, I know you love him, but he's an injury waiting to happen.
I didn't really want him to play, honestly.
I'm shocked he's playing. Like after
Yeah,
what I saw in the Knicks series, like why would the Sixers even allow him to play?
I don't know.
Same thing with Kawhi Leonard. Like why is Kawhi Leonard playing?
Some of these guys, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense. I think you have so much young talent in the country that you can roll out, you can put out there, and they would probably give you same or better performance than some of the guys that are out there. Like going out
Tyrese
there.
Maxey. I mean, you don't want to put him out there. My guy, Jalen Brunson, I love Jalen Brunson to death, but like he can't be there. You can't put a guy like, like I know Edwards is on the team, but like you can't put a guy, let's say like
Donovan Mitchell.
um yeah, I don't know about that.
He's on the borderline.
Is Tatum on the team?
Yeah, he's on the team, but he wasn't at the practice like today because I think he was
Okay.
signing his contract in Boston.
Okay. But Tatum's on
Yeah.
the team. So
He's on the
you got
team,
him.
yeah.
Okay. So at least you got Jason Tatum. But like you can't put a guy like say, I don't know, I'm freestyling here. Devin Booker, or like yeah, like those younger kind of like, like those types of players. But no, LeBron's got to manipulate his way into everything. So, I got to put LeBron out there. I mean, this guy's done more manipulation than anybody I've ever seen in the last 6 months. The thing he did and God bless him because he's able to do it. But the thing he did with his son, it is the most outrageous thing I've seen in a long time. I'm sorry, like, and it's not the kid's fault. It's not his fault. I don't begrudge him. I think he's put in a very tough situation as a 19-year-old kid who his father is arguably, besides Michael Jordan, one of the faces of basketball from here until the end of time. Okay. I get it. It's a hard, it's a tough pair of shoes to fill. But for him to get the treatment he's been getting, first of all, shame on the Lakers for basically allowing one guy to manipulate your entire franchise. And you think that dude was gonna, like take less money or do any of that stuff to try and help the team? He ain't helping the team. He's helping himself, and he's helping his kid. And again, God bless him. He's doing what any father would do for their son. I mean, I would do it for my kids. You would do it for your kids. I'm not saying his morals are not in the wrong place. They are. They're in the right place. I get it. But it's such a bad look, especially because he's not the one. Like he's not that guy. And I get it. He had an issue with his health. I understand. And I'm not saying that the kid can't develop into something. But if you think this kid's going to develop into like a top 5 or 10 player in the league, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pressure on him. Like if he went to another team, to help like develop more, I think he could definitely be a solid guy. Not top of the league, but a guy that can play for like I don't know, off the bench or like a lower end starter. But I think being on the Lakers, so much pressure, and he's on the roster. They put him on
Nick,
the
he's
main
a
roster.
project. He is. He's not going anywhere. He's not going out of the
Yeah,
G
he's
League.
not.
No,
No.
he's a project. Like he's going to be one of these guys, and it's going to be an interesting case study. I'll say that. I want to see how he develops, and if he develops into like a rotation player or something a little bit more, like to me, his upside is PJ Tucker. Like that to me is kind of like the mold I see him in. He's not his father, okay, and that's fine. Nobody's going to be his father. Even though, have you watched the younger brother play, Bryce?
Yeah, I have.
He's pretty good. You know what? I think him and Carmelo Anthony's kid are like right there in regards to like the next kind of high school prospects.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched Bryce play. I did watch a little of Carmelo's kid. I thought he was pretty good too. And I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to all kind of develop. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you can't do that, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you can't allow Ronnie to have that kind of, I don't know, that kind of, I guess, clout. Like it's almost like him and his father run the organization.
Yeah,
You know, they
basically,
gotta
yeah, whole family.
like, yeah. I mean, JJ Redick, like that's another thing too. Like, how is this dude the coach of the Lakers? How?
It's crazy.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, how is this guy who's never coached anybody in his life? I mean, maybe he coached his kids somewhere, and got good for him. I mean, I coach my kids, so I mean, does that make me an NBA coach? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Just because you played in the league doesn't make you a coach. Steve Nash played in the league. Look how that turned out. It was a disaster.
I don't know. I think that maybe they're just randomly hoping for something. They're probably looking at like Steve Kerr, thinking something's gonna pop out. Like he
No,
might not be a terrible coach.
LeBron's just gonna be the coach.
Yeah, LeBron's gonna
He's gonna be
coach
a
it
player.
for a couple
He's
years.
gonna be a player coach. He'll just take
Yeah,
himself
exactly.
out. He'll put himself in. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna call plays from now on in.
I wonder how they're gonna do
Goodness.
this year. Honestly,
I
they haven't
I
made
think
any
they're
moves.
Nick, they're gonna stink. That's what I think. They're gonna stink.
Good point.
They have two guys. They have a 40-year-old LeBron James who's their best player, and Anthony Davis, when he decides to play and when he doesn't play, can give you 20 and 10. But besides that, D'Angelo Russell is a nightmare. Like he's so streaky. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know, besides Bronny, I don't know who else is on the team.
It's what, like Austin Reeves,
Oh yeah, Austin
Jarrett
Reeves. Okay.
Vanderbilt. Like there's not many guys, but they'll be the regular 7-8 seed playing team, and they'll maybe make the playoffs, and then they'll just lose. But there's a lot of teams
No,
in the West. They might not.
they'll raise another banner for the in-season tournament like they did this year.
I forgot they won that. That was
Disgrace. That's a disgrace. How do you raise a banner for an in-season tournament that only existed for a year? Come on. What are we doing?
Indiana made it. At least they were good.
You know what? Give Indiana props for something because nobody saw that coming. And nobody saw them going to the conference finals. And I think you got to take my team out of the equation here because there's a lot of reasons why they lost the series. And injuries, to me, is not one of them. It happens. Injuries are always going to happen. But I think there was a lot of fundamental problems that went wrong for the Knicks in that series for them to lose that series. Because, remember, they were up 2-0, had the ball with the lead late in the game 3, and lost. They go up 3-0, it's a different series.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, they were down. Yeah. They were up the Knicks were up 2-0.
Yes, they were.
About that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were up 2-0. And again, Nembhard hits that crazy 3 and the whole series changed. And again, good. I'm not going to sit here and take anything away from the Pacers. They won, and they won in a way where, you know what? I wish my team did. And, listen, Brunson breaks his hand in game 7. You can't see that happening. Anunoby injures his hamstring. He tries to come back. He couldn't. Josh Hart gets hurt in game 6. Like, he just wasn't the same guy. You're not going to win a series with Dante DiVincenzo as your best player. You're just not.
Yeah.
So, but that,
they almost, but they got Boston almost the first 3 games. They could have beat them if they didn't.
Game 1, was it game 1 or game 2 where they had the late lead and Brown hit that crazy shot?
It was 2 of the first 3 games that were like that. Yeah, but the Knicks were hurt. I think healthy they would be.
But it's Nick. That's no excuse. No. You know what? That's no excuse. You know what? If they were hurt, okay, injuries happen. Everybody plays through injuries, man. Especially it's the playoffs. Like you play through injuries. You know what? Maybe fundamentally you need to change the way you think in the regular season and go through the whole load management thing where guys are not playing 45 minutes a night. That's where I think they fail. Because these guys were exhausted by the end. You can't play 7 guys 40 minutes a night and expect them to get through 4 rounds of playoffs, especially with long series. You can't do it. It's physically impossible.
They play those guys crazy minutes in the playoffs.
Josh Hart played 48 minutes, like 4 games in a row.
There should be no reason to do that this year, though. No reason.
No, not with the depth they have now. But you know what? Like we talked about in the last podcast, like their center position's it's a train wreck. Like they have to upgrade that soon.
You can get Paul Reed.
I'll take Paul Reed. B-ball Paul, baby. Let's go. I'll take him.
Can't defend though.
Listen, I don't need him to defend. You know what I mean? I just need him to get
defenders. Yeah.
He can't shoot either. He's got a worse jump shot than me. Like his jump shot is terrible. He's got maybe the worst jump shot release I've ever seen.
I don't think you're be a bad player on a certain team. Like he just didn't fit on the Sixers.
I agree.
Not what they
And
needed.
listen, Paul Reed's an NBA player. He'll
Yeah,
excel somewhere else. But I just think you're right. I think that he just didn't. They didn't have use for him anymore, so they got rid of him, which is the smartest
yeah.
thing to do.
Drummond's way better. So
Listen, I wanted Andre Drummond on the Knicks for a long time. I did. You know that too. Remember, we talked about that too. All right, brother. Listen, it's been real. All right. I know you're you're taking some R&R for the next couple of days, so have fun.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Say hello to the family for me, and we'll
All right,
catch
yep.
you. We'll probably catch you next week. All right, brother?
All right, yep. See ya.
All right, bro. Be good.
All right, see ya.
Yes, that is the familiar sounds of one John Cena. I want to take this time in the show to talk about the Money in the Bank premium live event that happened this past Saturday. And a big part of that was the fact that we now know that 2025 is going to be John Cena's last year in professional wrestling, at least as a wrestler. You know, if you watch this press conference like I did, he basically told you he's never going to go away. It's just that he's done competing, which, I mean, I get it. You know, he's got a lot of other things going on. He does the Peacemaker series, among, you know, a bunch of other commercials that he does. He's in movies now. And I'm pretty happy that, you know, we get to see John Cena one last time at like a significant, you know, last run, basically, which I think is going to, you know, come to a title reign at some point. I think he'll end up breaking Flair's record and be a 17-time world champion. I also think you're going to see him, you know, face some people that, you know, he hasn't really faced before, and some people that you're going to see him kind of face one last time. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is CM Punk. I think at some point you'll get a Punk Cena, you know, last dance kind of match just as more of a farewell. It might even be his last match for all we know. But we do know that he will start the Royal Rumble in January and then do, he said, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, and then pretty much the entire year, the SummerSlam, you know, the whole gamut. So we get to see one last run for John Cena. And you know what? I'm pretty excited about it because, again, I've always been a John Cena fan. I know that's not the conventional thing to do, especially people my age. They all, you know, for some reason can't stand the guy because I guess they ushered off the Attitude Era and Cena kind of brought in the more of a PG, family-friendly era. But you can't take away what this man has done for children with all the Make-A-Wish stuff he's done. And you can just see he's just a genuinely good person. And I root for people like that. So kudos to John Cena for, you know, having this long career that has spanned, you know, over 20 years and different iterations of John Cena. Remember the Doctor of Thugonomics, you can't see me, all that stuff. And I was here for it. And I thought at one point Cena was, I don't know if he still is, but I think Cena was on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. You know, we can always talk about that debate, you know, whether you want to or not, but you can't take away what this man has done for the wrestling business, the amount of money that he's, you know, generated for the company and how much money he's done for himself. And you can tell that, you know, when Cena was on your screen, it was a big deal. So kudos to John Cena for having such a great career. And I'm happy to see, you know, where this goes and what direction they kind of take this whole, you know, retirement thing to. And, you know, I think it's going to be a lot of fun regardless. So, which brings me to, you know, like I said, the Money in the Bank premium live event that happened this Saturday. A lot of things coming out of that event that I'd really like to talk about. The first thing is this whole new bloodline, you know, angle that they're going now with Solo Sikoa being the more or less kind of the, you know, the new tribal chief, as you want to call him. I love it. I love the fact that Solo now is become almost like the biggest heel in the company. I love the fact that he has guys behind him that are, you know, like if you know their history, are menacing kind of dudes that all make sense. Tama Tonga is a guy I've always wanted in WWE for a long time because I just think he never got his due in other places that he was. And also Tongaloa is the same thing. I thought that, once at the end of his New Japan run, he was in a real good spot. And now that he's in WWE with his brother, I think that's going to be, you're going to see a lot of, like, I think, moving forward with those two as a team again and really kind of moving up the ranks in the tag team division. And Jacob Fatu. Now, if you don't know anything about Jacob Fatu, go watch his MLW stuff he did with Alex Hammerstone. That tells you all you need to know about how great this guy is going to be. And he's only scratched the surface. I mean, you saw it, in firsthand, the things he can do at his size. He is going to be a star with this company. Which brings me to the head of the table. I don't think you're going to see Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I'm almost certain you're probably going to see Roman Reigns maybe in the fall at some point. I think SummerSlam is the obvious thing, but I don't want it to be so obvious that he's going to come back at SummerSlam. I want it to be almost like spontaneous where like nobody knows when he's going to show up. When he does, he is absolutely going to be the biggest babyface in the company. There is no doubt. Because you can hear it when the crowd chants, "We want Roman." The minute they put Paul Heyman through a table, that cemented it for me. I'm like, he's going to come back, and it's just going to be, he's not going to change anything. He's still going to be the same guy that everybody kind of fell in love with, but now the crowd is going to be super behind him. I think that eventually you're going to see Jimmy, Jay, and Roman all back together. I think they're all kind of, if you kind of read the tea leaves, that's kind of where they're heading. And I think this is going to be a War Games match. I do. I think Survivor Series is going to be kind of the old bloodline against the new bloodline. And if you want to add Sami Zayn into that mix, which I think is eventually going to happen, I think it's going to be the Usos, Sami, and Roman on one side. I think it's going to be Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa on the other side. And sign me up. Sign me up right now, because you know what? I'll be locked into that, because that's going to be a tremendous, tremendous match. And there's so many different layers to this whole bloodline story that, we kind of, you can keep this going for years upon years upon years, man. Like, this is never going to go away. And honestly, I'm here for it. It's so good. It's been good. Even, in the kind of the beginning when Roman started to transform into this whole tribal chief, head of the table type of character, how he kind of got Jay involved, and then Jay wasn't involved, then Jimmy tried to come in, and then all of a sudden they were together, and then they get Solo, and then Sammy kind of falls into that whole thing, and then the breakup, and to where we are now, and then you kind of mix in Cody, and you got The Rock, and there's so many layers to this. And it's all, it's outstanding work. You got to give the people that are behind this a ton of credit for keeping this thing alive and keeping it in a way where it's entertaining and you want to know what's going to happen next. It is unbelievably well done. I wasn't the biggest fan of McIntyre cashing in. I know where this is going. They kind of need to set up the whole Punk McIntyre thing at SummerSlam, so I get it. It all kind of makes sense. I think that's going to be a fun match to watch. I don't think they're going to hold back either. I think it's going to be very, hard hitting. I think that it's going to be a lot of like brutality, more or less. And now you kind of factor in Seth Rollins in this whole thing. It all, again, makes sense because, let's be real about something. Like, there's some real animosity between Rollins and Punk. They do not like each other. It's very obvious when you kind of see them interact with each other. But again, they'll be professional and do the right thing. But I always thought the realism, especially in wrestling, it only just brings the best out of people. And it always kind of brings the best matches out of everybody. So I can't wait for that. I like Priest as the world champion, but I think it's kind of getting to the point where now maybe you need to kind of think about making a move and how you do that. I don't know if I'm ready for Gunther to be that guy, but it kind of seems like that's where they're heading. So, and then, you'll have the kind of whole breakup of the Judgment Day, because again, that's all coming. When Rhea Ripley comes back, that'll all kind of get itself wherever it is it's going to go. And guys like JD McDonough and Finn Balor and, like those guys are going to kind of get lost in the shuffle. I think Dominic Mysterio is a star. I really do. I think that he could eventually be a world champion. I really do. I think because of how much heat this guy really gets I think he could absolutely become a world champion as a heel. I don't think I'll never see it as babyface, but I think as a heel, because of just how much the crowd despises him, is going to allow him to kind of further ascend to, levels I thought he would never get to. But hey, listen, the crowd kind of tells you everything. If the crowd doesn't like you, then you know what? You're just another guy. But if the crowd really responds to you and you get that, like, either one way or another, if people love you, and you kind of see it with Cody, people love Cody Rhodes. I personally, I respect him. I think he's a very good with what he's doing. But I don't look as Cody Rhodes as a face of the company. I love the story. I'm glad he got a chance to win the title and all that stuff. I'm glad that all happened. But I'm over it now. I think it's time to kind of let that kind of go. And he needs to kind of find a different place to kind of get to. I just don't think that where he is right now, he's not at a level where I think he's at where, like, there's like Cody and then like Roman's like up here, and Roman hasn't even been around in a while, but Cody's still struggling to get to that level. And he's put on some good matches. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's doing the right things. It's just that for me, just my opinion, I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working. I don't think that, that style is something that is sustainable anymore. I mean, if this Cody Rhodes character came around in, like, say, 1988, he'd be the biggest thing in wrestling. But, it's 2024 now. Like, we've evolved so much as people and as fans of all this. And it's not for me. I mean, my kids love him. They do. They love him. And you know what? Hey, that's great. If the kids love you, you're doing something right. But me personally, I'm not the biggest Cody Rhodes fan. On the other hand, when Roman comes back, watch out. That pop when he walks in, even if Heyman's with him or whoever's with him, when he throws up, this is going to be out of this world. Out of this world. And I love knowing that we got Rock and Roman on the horizon. We got Rock and Cody on the horizon. We got Cody and Roman again for the third time on the horizon. All things they can build upon, and all things they can kind of tie in the different stories with the bloodline and everything else. We're in for a very good, I would say, next 12 to 18 months of professional wrestling, guys. I really believe that. I think it's going to be one of the greatest times in, our fandom with this whole storyline and everything. If you're into that kind of stuff. I know everybody's different. Everybody likes different things. But me personally, I think the next 12 to 18 months are going to be tremendous for the world of wrestling. I really, really do. I really, really do. All right, folks, that does it for me this week. Hey, stay tuned for us to, I'm sorry, not this week. We got one more show coming for this week, okay? So stay tuned for that. I want to tell you about our sponsors. Jump Shot Gym, a one-of-a-kind basketball training facility located in Hillsborough, New Jersey, with 8 hoops and their Dr. Dish shooting machines. Get all the reps you need to build a consistent shot. Visit jumpshotgym.com for info on shooting clinics, camps, and parties. One more time, jumpshotgym.com. And Brazina Home Improvements. Looking for any general contractor or repair need, contact Brazina Home Improvements for a free estimate at 609-581-5848. Again, free estimates for your home and business. Looking for any types of repairs. Again, general contracting needs, Brazina Home Improvements, 609-581-5848. All right, guys, that does it for me right now. We'll catch you Friday. We're going to do a show for Friday. We'll just talk about, some upcoming things on the weekend. We'll, just kind of shoot the breeze on some other topics and everything, and we will see you then. All right, guys, have a good rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. See you.